Alright, so I got a couple articles here about the MCU. First one's from a website called Flickluster. Opinion: the MCU is losing its might. Now, you could argue that they've been losing their might for years, but, okay. It's specifically about Ant-Man, and it's kind of underwhelming, the attention it's been getting. It actually started off pretty well in terms of the box office and everything, but, as it says here, despite a respectable opening box office, critics and audiences are beginning to express their concerns. And it basically talks about how some of the critics have been talking about the cringe, childish kind of humor that they put all the time in these freaking movies. They can't have a serious moment. It's like, the example I like to give is, I don't know if you've ever watched Friends, but there's a character on there, Chandler Bing. Really funny, played by Matthew Perry and stuff, but he cannot be serious. And because it makes him uncomfortable. So anytime there's a serious moment or one of the characters gets serious, he'll generally make a joke. Not always. He got a little better over time, but anyway, that's what Marvel reminds me of. You try to have a serious moment, and here comes the fart jokes and shit like that and stuff, and it's just like, come on, dude. Aren't you supposed to be adults? It's like, what the fuck? But anyway, I mean, hell, even with like the Guardians and stuff. Now, some of the stuff I disagree with. This article, or opinion piece, I don't necessarily agree with 100%. I agree with a fair amount of it. But they talk about that Ant-Man 3 has a 48% critic score on Rotten Tomatoes. I don't know what it's currently at, but the dialogue and the screenplay being some of the worst Marvel has to offer. Points perhaps both are described most succinctly by Randy Jones of Randy Reviews, saying of the movie, "I got older and they stay the same." An allusion to McConaughey. But anyway, collectively we've all evolved over the last decade, but Marvel's ratings already stayed the same. This isn't to say that superhero movies need to be boring or serious. James Gunn's The Suicide Squad was very wacky and funny. And I thought, too many D-list bullshit in there, but whatever. Didn't resort to only cliches and constant quips to amuse the audience. That's somewhat true. The writing's one issue, but what we're seeing on screen is another thing entirely. They've been criticized by some more snobbish filmgoers since the beginning of first explosions and high-action scenes. But then it's talking about the CGI, which is what this article here is. I got it bound in the comics. Marvel VFX artists admit Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania looks awful. Reveal studio shifted all the money and all the best resources to Wakanda forever. It's a pretty long article and everything. Here's some guy talking about, I like seeing MODOK's bare butt on his IMAX screen. But anyway, they're just pointing out some of the, as it says, abysmal CGI quality. They talk about She-Hulk, talk about some of the stuff in like Thor with his helmet and everything. You could make the argument that a fair amount of the stuff in it hasn't been up to snuff. And one of the reasons, and this is what they talk about here, I believe it's the second technician, or the second guy that they talk to, talk about how they do it, to basically, they're trying to squeeze blood from a stone. They're trying to squeeze as much as they can. Because these movies make money and stuff. They could make even more money if they actually, put more of it into the actual game itself instead of wasting, money with bullshit and stuff. It's one of those things where they'll sit there and they'll have all these ads, all these commercials and stuff for these movies and everything. But it's like, if you took some of that, marketing budget and put it into the damn movie instead, might be a little better. As he says here, I think the movie's getting reviews it's been getting because Marvel's doubling down as much as possible on constricting quality. They're squeezing blood out of stones and we're out of blood. Says another source, he offered a less doom and gloom outlook on the industry. He says, our working conditions are often less than ideal, and Quantumania was another on a long line. Like I said, I'll link these in the description box if you guys want to read this whole thing to yourself. But according to them, Ant-Man 3, we'll just call it, suffered this drop in overall visual quality because Wakanda Forever took precedence. And they say it's understandable because of Chadwick's passing and stuff, and how well the first movie did and everything. But speaking to the threequel again, Ant-Man 3's actual development process, they further recalled maybe the director had an idea of what he wanted, but he wasn't 100% clear. We had a rough environment that we were sticking a few main characters in. At that time, we weren't told where our characters should be in that environment. We were just going with what felt right. There's also talk that, this is true, that they were reshooting scenes for Ant-Man 3 a month ago. A month before the damn movie came out. That is absolutely crazy. And then you couple that with the news that the Marvels movie got delayed. It was supposed to come out, I think, July 28th, I believe. Now it's not coming out till November, that movie's been delayed, 4 times, I believe? It's had to have a bunch of reshoots and stuff. It's like, that's generally not a good thing. Now, Hogwarts Legacy, a video game, for example, It's been getting, good praise by those who are actually just talking about the game itself and not getting hung up on all the J.K. Rowling stuff. It got delayed a bunch and stuff. So I mean, it's possible that the Marvels could end up being a good movie. But usually, not always, but usually when a movie gets delayed, they have to do a bunch of reshoots and stuff. That's usually not a good sign. That's usually bad. You know. Anyway, it goes on. Here's one part that I thought was really stupid. I really didn't understand this. You know, there were times when we were creating an actor's entire action, like Ant-Man moving across something, and you just think, why didn't they film it the right way or how they wanted it in the first place? Why are we having to redo and recreate? Why do we have to Frankenstein together an actor's performance? A quick shot that maybe takes 2 seconds would have to be redone 20 times to get the look that they want. That makes absolutely zero sense. Why in God's name would you not have, Ant-Man, whether it's Paul Rudd or his stunt double or whoever, running or moving across something the exact way you want it, and then, go to the VX people and be like, hey, okay, we'll insert this stuff behind him or blah, 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 or whatever. Like that, I mean, and assuming this is all true, these guys, said that they were anonymous because they wanted to protect their livelihoods and so on and such forth. That's why they also say that's why they don't really push back on any of this, these unfair working conditions and stuff, because they say you don't want to do anything to jeopardize, your place and stuff. I get it. I mean, hell, unless you got a ton of money, hey, you got to do what you got to, especially if you got a family to take care of or whatever. I get it. Yeah, in an ideal world, you'd be able to, flip, Marvel, Disney, whatever, the bird and say, fuck you, I'm not doing this shit. But, you got to do what you got to do. You got a family to provide for and stuff. It sucks. Sometimes you got to eat a shit sandwich. Sometimes you got to eat a lot of them, unfortunately. Anyway, ultimately they concluded that the film's problems could have been alleviated if could have been more people involved in the project, maybe more money spent. With a lot of these projects being worked on simultaneously, resources become thinner. Quality starts lacking. You can't expect all the VFX companies to give the highest quality work, especially if you're going to do it on a lower budget. I'm not a big fan of her hair there. Good God, what the fuck is that? Anyway, it's just, I'm going to wrap this up here. I've already gone over 7 minutes. This video is a lot longer than I was planning on, but it's just, then going back to the original article, one of the reasons is the visual effects. Another reason is just the writing's gotten bad because of like the whole bullshit with the comedy and all that shit. And then there's other reasons. You got a bunch of characters nobody knows about. You got a bunch of movies coming out. Like so many movies coming out. Like you'll have like what, 2 to 3 movies a year is what they're planning. Then you got a couple TV shows mixed in as well, and it's like, holy crap, man. I mean, seriously, like how are you supposed to? And if they're not all of a high quality, if they're not all like well made and stuff, people are going to start getting sick of it. Hell, people are going to get sick of it even if it's really good quality. That's just the way it is. Not everything's going to be able to match up. You don't have the star power that you used to have, so now you're trying to find other ways around it, and it's like they're flailing. See the same thing with Star Wars. They ran that shit into the ground. Marvel's running into the ground. It's not looking good. Now, do they still make money? Oh, sure, of course they do. I mean, these movies make a ton of money. But when they also cost a ton of money to make, it's not quite as good as you would want. Anyway, I've already gone 8.5 minutes. I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. Thank you very much for watching, and have a good one.